It's not the sort of question we're used to hearing our pollies answer.
Can someone please provide me with a definition of what a woman is?
Perhaps to give a more fulsome answer, we should take that on notice.
Do you know what a woman is, Premier?
Yes. I don't know, female adult human being.
Just to avoid any confusion, could you define for us what a woman is?
A woman is a member of the female sex.
So why is this suddenly a thing? Well, like horsewormer and making things great again, the fascination with gender definitions seems to have been imported from the US.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
I can't.
You can't?
Not in this context.
So
I'm not a biologist.
Depending on your preferred flavour of hyperbole, it's political correctness gone mad, it's the woke police, or it's the death of free speech.
If they can make you pretend to believe something you know is untrue, they've won. They control your brain.
But it's also a way to raise the issue of trans rights without mentioning trans rights or involving trans people at all.
It seems to be today that the way to be relevant is to cause outrage, it's to be controversial. Where these toxic anti-trans discussions are so dangerous is that they seek to limit and prevent our participation in society.
For trans people, life as a political football is nothing new. In February, the government's Religious Freedom Bill was sunk after coalition moderates rebelled over a lack of protections for trans students.
Anti-trans rhetoric is just a manipulative and cynical attempt to garner the support from well-meaning people by positioning a really good cause, such as women's rights or protecting children, as being in conflict with the mere existence of the trans and gender diverse community.
Of course, that Religious Freedom Bill was a peace offering to coalition Conservatives that had lost the marriage equality fight. Now, the next battle's already looming. Tasmanian Liberal Senator Claire Chandler drafting a private members bill that would allow sporting clubs to exclude transgender people from single-sex sports. The PM seemingly happy to let the issue run.
Will you put in legislation in the next term of Parliament to effectively ban trans people or trans women from competing in female sport?
Well, I think I've already conveyed my own personal view on these matters. I think Claire Chandler has also been very outspoken and brave on these issues, and we have more to say about that at another time than I will.
So while cost of living issues dominate most election discussions, don't expect the fight over trans rights to die away anytime soon.
Dr. Yves Rees is a historian and trans advocate and joins us now. Yves, what do you think's going on here?
I think this is clearly a transphobic dog whistle and a thinly veiled attack on the reality of trans women. Firstly, the concept woman is a gender identity, not a matter of biological sex. And I mean, even if we are talking about biological sex, that's actually quite complicated as well. There are many ways to define biological sex, to define people as male or female, including, chromosomes, genitalia, hormones, reproductive organs. Medical scientists debate these definitions. They're not straightforward. It's not an easy thing to pin down. But the implication that it is straightforward is a very well-known transphobic talking point. And so it's very disturbing to see that talking point being widely deployed in Australian politics.
So why has it ramped up ahead of the election? Is this, in your view, a political stunt?
I think it is clearly an attempt to fearmonger and, cause community anxiety and distraction, which is very alarming given that we know that this is manufactured. We know that the vast majority of Australians support trans rights. There was some really good research done by Equality Australia 2 years ago, which found that 78% of Australians believe that trans people should have the same rights and freedoms as every other Australian.
So the debate, you've been through the debate before, obviously, with the plebiscite, but as a member of the trans community, how do these discussions, these debates, what impact does it have on the mental health of the trans community?
It has a truly devastating impact. We know that the trans community are among the most marginalised Australians. Trans Australian adults are 11 times more likely to attempt suicide than non-trans people. And we know that this poor mental health is not because there's anything wrong with being trans, it's because of the hostility and stigma that we face every day of our lives.
And Dr. Yves, you talk about
the trans visibility and how that it is so much more visible in trans rights, and thankfully so. When topics such as the rights of trans athletes seem to be popping up as they are most recently, do you think that that topic is within this wider discussion? Should it be? Can it be? Where does it sit?
They're related because they both hinge on the idea that we know what a woman is and trans women are not really women. They both stem from this pejorative stereotype that trans women are not women, but rather men dressing up as women, men pretending to be women to gain access to women's spaces, to gain unfair advantage, or to otherwise cause harm. You know, this is one of the oldest ideas about trans people, that trans women in particular are dangerous predators. Now, it's important to stress that there is absolutely no evidentiary basis for this idea. It's pure transphobia. And if the government or anyone is actually serious about protecting women's rights, they would do very well to consider the rights of trans women who are among the most vulnerable women in our community.
Yves, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.